Welcome to racing in Champ de Mars, Mauritius. They've got 8 races on today's card. They've also got an enthusiastic crowd and plenty of atmosphere. Mauritians are very proud of their racing heritage, which dates back to 1812, when the first meeting was held at Champ de Mars. The track is tight by necessity, being squeezed between the capital city of Port Louis and the mountains. It makes for an impressive backdrop, but some serious traffic issues, with a public road between the grandstand and the track needing to be closed on race days. Such logistics are the domain of CEO Mike Rishworth, who quickly realised the passion of the Mauritians when joining the club from his native South Africa.
I've only been here for 9 months or so, and I was blown away by the atmosphere at this racecourse. It's fantastic. It's a treasure of the racing here in Mauritius. And quite honestly, it's the passion of the Mauritian people about horse racing that keeps this industry going, and it's been going for well over 200 years here in Mauritius. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but I think it's the oldest racecourse in the Southern Hemisphere, and I'm not mistaken, it's the 3rd oldest racing club in the world. So it's a long history of passionate Mauritian racing fans. Yeah.
Champ de Mars hosted 38 meetings in 2019, getting underway in March and concluding with the International Jockeys Weekend in early December. It's a busy schedule for such a small track, and something of a challenge for the turf maintenance team.
It is a difficult one because, as you know, we've got to manage the racing itself, we've got to manage grass gallops, we've got to manage stalls, and we've only got one track, as you say. So we've got a couple of very experienced people out there who've been doing it for years and years, and miraculously they seem to pull it off. So how they do it, I know a bit about it, but they're the experts and they know what to do, and it seems to work every year, so no major problems in that department.
How does it work for the trainers here? Are they salaried by the club, or are they private trainers and they get their income from training fees and prize money?
No, they're strictly private trainers, and as you mentioned, that's the way they operate, yeah. The club certainly offers a certain number of subsidies to them. For example, very strange, we actually employ all the grooms, which is quite an interesting concept. But generally speaking, they're private trainers and they've got to manage their business and make ends meet.
And what about owners? Can anyone own a horse here?
In theory, yes, but there's fairly stringent criteria that need to be adhered to by the owners. We go through a fairly strict scrutineering procedure, but generally, yes, anybody can own, subject to certain conditions that they need to adhere to, yeah.
And you race March through to December. When's the really big meeting?
Oh, that was on the 1st of September, just a couple of weeks ago. And I think we had about 35,000 people on the small racecourse 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. And, you know, I've been very fortunate to have raced all over the world, even as far as Japan. And I have never, ever experienced an atmosphere like on that day. It's called the Maiden Cup. It attracts all the best horses, all the best jockeys in Mauritius, and 35,000 people. So it was a fantastic day, it really was.
There are just 15 trainers currently licensed in Mauritius, including Patrick Mervyn, who started way back in 1995.
It's more and more competitive. There's 15 stable, 15 trainers. So, and horses are much better quality than when I started. And now the competition is good, and also you have a good jockeys coming. A lot of good jockeys from a bit everywhere, from Brazil, from Australia, from South Africa, France, England. So even from India, I had a jockey from India for the last 2 years, 1.5 years.
And where do you get your horses from? Are they mostly from South Africa?
Yes, nearly, I would say 95% of horses are from South Africa now.
And what sort of horse do you need to race here? Because it's a very tight track and sometimes they must be on very firm ground.
Yes, exactly. We need it, and also it's why we, first of all, it's because of the proximity of South Africa. It's just 3-4 hours flight from here, and also because of the climate. it's nearly the same. In Durban and Port it's exactly the same. So it's why it's good for us to have these horses. They adapt very, very quickly.
And they must have to be very sound horses because it can be firm.
Unfortunately, this is our problem because we're not buying. We buying horses 3-4 years old who are already run there. So when they arrive, we'll have some horses with problems.
Roughly 30 jockeys rode regularly at Champ de Mars during 2019, with a mixture of Mauritian and expatriates basing themselves there. Brazilian Manuel Nunes is the perennial champion and was riding at an impressive 29% strike rate at the time of our visit. Not far behind him was South African Derek David on 20%, who told us a little more about what it's like to ride there.
Mauritian racing is another world. I've raced in obviously Dubai, Bahrain, Singapore, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and nothing comes close to the atmosphere and the passion that I feel when I'm racing in Mauritius.
And we must talk about the track because for me, never having ridden in a race, it looks incredibly difficult, especially that last bend into the straight. How do you cope with that?
Yeah, it's the tightest track that I've ridden on. I think it's the tightest track that most jockeys will ride on. You have to find yourself in the right position. If you aren't, you're gone. From the 6 to the 4 is a very crucial part of the race here. Of course, the straight is only 225 meters. If you get blocked, you get done, you battle to pick it up again. So you have to really be going in a smooth motion. And after being here so many years, I still get caught out sometimes. Nothing's ever easy here. Every race is different. But as I said, it's fun, it's exciting, the passion, the crowd, the Mauritian people, they die for racing. It's unreal.
And what about the prize money here? It's a good standard of living if you're doing well?
Oh no, we work on a salary basis with our stables. So my stable employs me and pays me a salary. The prize money is not too good. So yeah, all based on your salary from your boss. Yeah.
And you get a lot of downtime, so you're only racing once a week. Are you riding out in the mornings? How does that work?
Every morning, 4 o'clock in the morning we start. Or we start 4:45, but I wake up at 4. You only work for your boss. I work around 11 horses in the morning. And yeah, it's just every morning I'm done by 8 o'clock and then I spend a lot of time with my wife and daughter, so it's really nice.
Derek was out of luck in the big race, the Group 2 Colonel Draper Cup, finishing second behind the Olivier Placard-ridden Black Cat back. The winner was a popular one. Good news for the connections who have to pass through a vocal section of the crowd to return to the parade ring. However, when it comes to passionate supporters, Mauritius must be the envy of plenty of tracks around the world. What they lack in glitzy facilities, they certainly make up for in enthusiasm.